Good evening, you are watching RENEWS in English. I'm Sona Tumanyan. Let's start from the Putin-Trump phone call, which lasted for an hour, no more, no less. U.S. President Donald Trump voiced his dissatisfaction, stating that a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin yielded no progress on Ukraine. Trump told journalists at Andrews Air Force Base that their discussion covered the continuing war in Ukraine and the situation regarding Iran.
I'm speaking to President Zelensky tomorrow, early in the morning, and I'm very disappointed with the conversation I had today with President Putin, because I don't think he's there. And I'm very disappointed. Well, it's not, I'm just saying, I don't think he's looking to stop. And that's too bad. This is Biden. This isn't me. This is Biden's war. It wouldn't have happened if I were president. It wouldn't have happened. So, I in one way I had to get too involved because it's Biden's war. And I got stuck in the middle of it, just like I did with immigration and a lot of other things that they screwed up. But I was not happy with the conversation, no.
The details of the phone call were also presented by Yuri Ushakov, an AD to the president of Russia.
Yes, an almost hour-long telephone conversation between Russian President Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump has just ended. Donald Trump began by informing Putin about the successful passage in the U.S. Congress of the administration's flagship bill on tax, immigration, and energy reform. Trump himself calls this bill a big, beautiful bill. Vladimir Putin wished Donald Trump success in implementing the planned reforms and, of course, congratulated him on the national holiday of the United States, celebrated tomorrow, Independence Day.
While Putin and Trump were speaking on the phone, Moscow was launching powerful strikes across the entire territory of Ukraine. Russia launched more than 500 drones and 11 missiles, including Iskander, towards Kyiv, targeting airports, railway infrastructure, and air defense systems. According to preliminary data, 23 people were injured, including a 10-year-old girl, and 14 were hospitalized. Industrial facilities and 5 ambulances were also damaged in Kyiv. Trump has also announced that he will speak with Zelensky by phone call. And Poland is also sounding the alarm. The Polish consulate was damaged during the massive strike on Kyiv, stated Poland's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Radoslaw Sikorski. President Trump, Putin is mocking your peace efforts. Please resume the supply of anti-aircraft missiles to Ukraine and impose strict sanctions against the aggressor, he wrote on his X page. Meanwhile, in Istanbul, another prisoner exchange operation stipulated by the Russian-Ukrainian agreement has taken place. Russia and Ukraine have once again conducted a prisoner exchange within the framework of the Istanbul Agreement. The Russian Ministry of Defense reports. RIA Novosti specialized that an exchange of wounded prisoners was carried out on July 4. Ukraine, for its part, is satisfied with the phone call. President Zelensky has welcomed the idea of an unconditional ceasefire in Ukraine proposed by Trump. Reacting to the phone conversation, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky noted, "If they talked about Ukraine, then we welcome the idea of an unconditional ceasefire put forward by Trump." And U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that America is continuing to supply weapons to Ukraine. We're working with them, trying to help, but we have to make sure we also have enough weapons for ourselves, the U.S. President told Fox News. The decision was made at the initiative of Elbridge Colby, head of the political section of the U.S. military department, after checking the remaining reserves, the BBC reported. Deputy White House Press Secretary Anna Kelly said the decision was made to put America's interests first, as the Department of Defense reviews our country's military support and aid to other countries around the world. Perhaps the U.S. president is still trying to be a dove of peace. Trump has announced that he is ready to participate in U.S.-Iran negotiations if necessary, but for now, his special envoy Viktor will attend. Iran wants to talk. I think they want to talk to me, and the time has come. And if it's necessary, I'll do it, Trump said. Iranian President Pezeshkian, while in Stepanakert, the capital of occupied Artsakh, has accused the United States while sitting next to Azerbaijani President Aliyev. Pezeshkian, described as a close neighbor and ally of Azerbaijan on various regional issues, asserted that the U.S. also had direct involvement in the strikes against Iran. We exercised our legitimate right to self-defense and prevented the start of a war in the region, Pezeshkian said in the occupied Stepanakert. Israel, with the support of the U.S., has endangered the future of the entire Middle East. If the situation does not change, it will have a negative impact on the region's economic integration. In other words, Iran and Azerbaijan are effectively trying to fight on the same side against the geopolitical agenda of the United States in the South Caucasus. Despite the disagreements, Lavrov congratulated Rubio on Independence Day anyway.
I hope that through joint efforts, relations between our countries will be strengthened on a creative vector and will acquire positive stability and predictability based on mutual respect and consideration for each other's national interests, which are predetermined by history, geography, and realities on the ground.
Prime Minister Pashinyan was also among those who extended congratulations.
Warmest congratulations to President Trump and American people on Independence Day. Armenia values our strategic partnership and shared commitment to liberty, justice, and peace. We appreciate the U.S. long-standing support to Armenian advancing resilience, economic development, and peace in our region.
President Vahagan Khachaturian also congratulated U.S. Ambassador Christina Quinn on the 249th anniversary of U.S. independence. According to the U.S. Embassy, Ambassador Quinn thanked the president and highlighted the expanding cooperation between the two nations based on a shared commitment to prosperity, security, and peace. The president of Turkey has arrived at the airport in the Varanda region of occupied Artsakh, known as Fizuli. The president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, is also in Stepanakert to participate in the 17th summit of the Economic Cooperation Organization. Of course, the choice of location was not accidental. Aliyev confirmed my assertion, noting that holding the ECO summit in Karabakh has special significance. This is another step by Azerbaijan on the path to making Armenian Artsakh Azerbaijani. Reactions to the summit are in the report.
Leaders of Turkic-speaking states in occupied Artsakh, how the media is portraying it. These days, the leaders of Turkic-speaking states, as well as one unrecognized entity, are gathering in occupied Artsakh to participate in the 17th summit of the Economic Cooperation Organization. Attending the meeting are Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, whose presence is peculiar given the tense relations between Iran and Azerbaijan, and leaders of CSTO member states who are considered allies of Armenia. Holding a high-level event like this in the territory of seized Artsakh sends a clear message to the countries of the region as well as to the international community. The media field is the primary channel for transmitting these messages. The state-run AZTV broadcasted the arrivals of Erdogan and Pezeshkian from Varanda Airport, known in Azerbaijan as Fizuli, with particular emphasis. Meanwhile, Telegram channels commented that, according to many sources, the plane of the president of Iran, a state that indirectly aided the Armenians in the 44-day war, landed in Karabakh for the first time in history. According to one publication, it is now clear that Khamenei, cruelly punished by Netanyahu, is determined to restore diplomatic relations with Azerbaijan. Stepanakert is at its peak. History is being written. A report by Azerbaijan's IK to My TV presents occupied Artsakh as a center of global politics, noting that holding this event in Stepanakert has symbolic significance. In a report from Stepanakert, Baku TV also noted that global attention is focused on Azerbaijan and that holding this event in Stepanakert is a diplomatic success. On the air with Khazar Khabar News, Member of Parliament Azar Badamov declared that this conference gives even greater importance to occupied Stepanakert, whereas he notes unprecedented construction work has been carried out. In contrast to the image of a Stepanakert with its Armenian identity erased and filled with soulless buildings, the sad picture of the suburbs of Azerbaijan's capital Baku is particularly striking. The Mukhtarov settlement in the Sabunchi district, one could say, has become a victim of the negative impact of the oil industry. These places are a reminder of the price ordinary people pay as a result of their interests being ignored in the face of economic interests and centralized governance. Of course, it would have been better if the international community's attention had been on Artsakh back in 2020, as well as in 2023, during the days when 100,000 Armenians were forcibly displaced from their homes and thousand-year-old homeland. However, even now, as Aliyev organizes a parade with horses while simultaneously laying a new foundation for a victory park on the sites of destroyed Armenian churches and monasteries, it is possible to speak about it even if quietly. It is noteworthy that some states participating in this gathering are allies of the Republic of Armenia, both militarily and diplomatically. This fact raises very serious serious concerns about Armenia's security and the future of its allied relations. It is predictable that in Stepanakert, Aliyev and Erdogan will speak about relations with Armenia. At the same time, to form an understanding of the regional positioning, it is necessary to be vigilant about Pezeshkian's statements. And this is in a context where Azerbaijani Telegram channels have titled the meeting between Aliyev and Pezeshkian as a conversation between two Azerbaijanis. Diana Karapetyan, Reopen Media.
And now, let's move to the National Assembly session hall. There is a relative calm here today. The opposition has boycotted the session, but accusations and emotional speeches continue to be heard. More on this in the report.
At an extraordinary session of the National Assembly, the motion of the Prosecutor General to strip 3 opposition MPs, Seyran Ohanyan, Otsvik Minasanyan, and Artur Sargsyan, of their immunity and initiate criminal prosecution against them was discussed.
Naturally, you are not going to take into account the justified absence of Colonel General Seyran Ohanyan, a man who has been through 3 wars and led the armed forces of Artsakh and Armenia. You will discuss the issue in his absence, and it will be your usual, routine, illegal action. And naturally, the Hayastan faction, and I am sure the Pantiv Unem faction as well, will not participate in this discussion.
The Pantiv Unem faction also refused to participate in that part of the session. Ohanyan was not present at the session due to health problems, for which, according to his colleagues, a doctor's note had been submitted.
As of this moment, I do not have that document. The one that was brought was from about 10 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, for a previous absence.
During the session, the absent Ohanyan made a post stating that he had sent a letter to the NA Speaker on July 1, informing him that he has been at a rehabilitation center since June 27th. According to the opposition MP, this process is a show with 2 objectives:
to distract public attention from the grave threats created against our state by their own hands, and, in coordination with Azerbaijani authorities, to continue to systematically neutralize all those political, public, and military figures, benefactors, and clergy who are fighting for the existence of Artsakh, Armenia, and for the Armenian people and their spiritual values.
Seyran Ohanyan is accused of occupying a state land plot in Sevan National Park and building a mansion without a legal permit, doing so with army resources. Later, according to Prosecutor General Vartapetanyan, a tender was organized and the land was transferred to a person close to Ohanyan's circle, who told the investigative body that he had acquired the property for investment purposes but did not continue with the plan after his partner's death. The prosecutor also noted that the construction was carried out by Sita Group, a company that had won numerous construction tenders for the army. The charges are based on articles covering abuse of official position, bribery, money laundering, and violation of asset declaration rules. Vartapetanyan also noted that military police officers were carrying out guard duty at the mansion.
Military police officers carried out stable guard shifts in the territory of the private mansion. I drew your attention twice to the fact that the mansion is an unauthorized structure, that is, an unauthorized structure on seized land, and construction began without any document authorizing it, and they consistently carried out guard duty and were paid from the state budget.
In a briefing with reporters, Levin Kocharian noted that he is not familiar with all the details of the case.
It's no secret to any of us that the actions of law enforcement in our country, the authorities' approaches, can be such that things are either fabricated out of thin air or what exists is twisted and presented in an exaggerated way, taken out of context.
After Seyran Ohanyan's case, the case of Artsvik Minasanyan was discussed. The accusation is about seizing a land plot and building an unauthorized mansion during his term in office.
The same Gegharkunik province, the same Draktik village. In 2019, a mansion was built, here is the picture, by Armen Hakobjanyan, whom we have seen in the Civil Contract Party headquarters.
The MP was interested in why the prosecutor's office was not doing the same in this case. Anna Vartapetanyan replied that the prosecutor's office does not receive information for its activities on its own, but learns of them through lawsuits, journalistic materials, etc. She added that the entire coastal area is now under study. From a legal standpoint, either the prosecutor general was reported to incorrectly or she herself did not properly study the details of the case, Artsvik Minasanyan said, responding to the prosecutor from the podium.
The prosecutor did not cite any legal norm here that was violated. All the claims that the tender was supposedly a formality do not correspond to reality. The tender was conducted according to existing regulations. There were no restrictions against any person. The Minister of Environment and the ministry's employees have no legal obligation to check or ascertain the interconnectedness of individuals.
At the end of the session, the issue of stripping the MPs of their immunity will be put to a secret ballot. Simon Hovhannisyan, Reopen Media.
Businessman Samvel Karapetyan, who is currently in custody, has filed lawsuits against Hayk Gonjorian and Arsen Torosyan, MPs from the civil contract faction. The businessman is demanding that each of the MPs retract their defamatory and insulting statements and pay 9 million drams in compensation. In both cases, Samvel Karapetyan also demands a public apology and that the civil contract MPs post the retraction on their Facebook pages. If this is not possible, he demands that within 5 working days of the verdict entering into legal force, they publish a retraction in any print newspaper with a circulation of at least 5,000 and distribution throughout the Republic of Armenia. It should be noted that a march in support of Samvel Karapetyan started today at 6 o'clock. Armenia Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan hosted outgoing Swedish Ambassador Patrick Svensson to honor him at the end of his diplomatic mission. Mirzoyan praised Svensson's crucial role as Sweden's first resident ambassador in strengthening bilateral relations, noting his service occurred during a challenging time for Armenia and the world. At humanitarian aid distribution points in Gaza, American security personnel used live ammunition, flashbangs, and pepper spray against Palestinians gathered for food, resulting in injuries, media outlets report, based on testimony from security personnel, videos, and internal documents from a humanitarian foundation in Gaza. The personnel expressed concern about their colleagues' lack of qualifications, while the logistics company insists that there were no serious injuries and that the shots were warning shots. Russia has officially recognized the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, raising the Taliban state flag over its embassy in Moscow for the first time. Russia's ambassador in Kabul called the decision a testament to friendly relations, while the foreign ministry stated the move will boost bilateral cooperation between the two countries. For more updates, follow us on YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, X, and Facebook. Daily news and full coverage are available on our official website. I am Sona Tumanyan. Stay informed with RENEWS.